Hey, this might actually work, Trump muttered to himself, adjusting the ragged cap on his head. Standing just a block away from his own luxurious estate in Florida, he felt oddly amused by the tattered clothes he had borrowed from the set of The Apprentice years ago. The plan was simple: disguise himself as a homeless man and see how people reacted. What would his neighbors think? Would they help, or would they just walk past? He rubbed his hands together, a playful glint in his eye. Time to find out how Jen. He settled onto a bench, clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Down on luck. Anything helps." It was within minutes. A woman in a sharp business suit approached, clearly in a hurry. He coughed lightly, raising his sign. She glanced at him, her eyes darting to his hand. "Nice try," she said, smirking. "Those are the softest hands I've ever seen on a homeless person. Maybe try using." Trump chuckled under his breath as she walked away. Sharp eye. Gotta give her credit for next. Came a jogger, a middle-aged man with AirPods and a determined look on his face. Trump called out, "Hey, buddy, got any spare change?" The jogger slowed, frowning. "Sorry, man. I don't carry cash." He paused, studying Trump for a moment. "Wait a second. You look kind of familiar. Have we me?" Trump shrugged, his best attempt at playing coy. "People say I look like someone famous all the time." Jan the jogger raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, sure," he said, jogging off. As the day wore on, Trump began to feel the weight of his experiment. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since breakfast, and his back ached from sitting on the hard bench. A twinge of something unfamiliar crept into his chest. Was this humility? Suddenly, a young girl approached, holding her mother's hand. She tugged at her mom's sleeve. "Mommy, can we give him something? He looks hungry." The mother hesitated but nodded, pulling a granola bar from her bag. The girl handed it to Trump with a shy smile. "I hope this helps," she said. For the first time all day, Trump felt a lump in his throat. "Thank you, sweetheart," he said, his voice softer than usual. "You're very kind." As the sun began to set, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The driver, a man in a crisp suit, stepped out and whispered something into Trump's ear. He nodded, standing up and stretching. "All right, folks, the show's over," he announced, shedding the cap and revealing his unmistakable blonde hair. A few onlookers gasped, while others just shook their heads, bemused. The jogger from earlier returned, out of breath. "I knew it! I knew it was you!" Trump grinned. "Had to see for myself how people treat someone down on their luck. You know, make America empathetic again." The jogger laughed. "So, what's the verdict?" Trump shrugged. "Mixed bag. But that little girl, she gets it. She's the future." As he climbed into his car and drove back to his mansion, Trump couldn't help but smile. "Maybe there's hope for this country after all," he said to himself, feeling a little less like a billionaire and a little more like a human being. As the car glided back toward his estate, Trump couldn't shake the image of the little girl. Her innocent smile and genuine act of kindness had left a bigger impression than he expected. He turned to his driver. "Johnson, remind me to send something to that girl's family. A scholarship, maybe. Or, I don't know, what do kids like these days? A pony?" The driver, used to Trump's spur-of-the-moment ideas, nodded calmly. "I'll look into it, sir." Trump leaned back in his seat, but his thoughts kept racing. By the time he reached the gate of his sprawling property, he had an idea. "You know what, Johnson? Pull over. I'm not going in yet." "Sir? Park it here. I want to walk the neighborhood a bit more." He grabbed his cap from the seat. "And grab me another one of these outfits for tomorrow. I've got a few more places to visit." The driver hesitated. "Are you sure, sir? Security—" Trump waved dismissively. "Relax. If anyone tries something, I'll just tell them I'm undercover. People eat that stuff up." He stepped out and wandered toward a nearby park. The evening air was crisp, and the setting sun cast a golden glow over the manicured lawns and palm trees. It wasn't long before he encountered a small group of people sitting on a bench, clearly homeless but chatting and laughing among themselves. "Mind if I join you?" Trump asked, sitting down without waiting for an answer. One of the men squinted at him. "You lost or something?" "Not exactly. Just trying to get a feel for things," Trump replied, adjusting his cap again. "What's it like out here? People treat you all right?" The group exchanged glances, then one woman spoke up. "Most don't even look at us, like we're invisible. You get used to it." Another man chimed in. "Yeah, but once in a while someone surprises you. Like that kid the other day. What's her name, Tammy? She brought us sandwiches." Trump nodded, genuinely interested. "And what about the big shots around here? Any of the rich folks ever help out?" The group burst into laughter. "Rich folks?" the woman said, shaking her head. "They drive past in their fancy cars, pretending not to see us. No way they'd stop." Trump smiled wryly. "Yeah, sounds about right." For the next hour, he listened to their stories. A man named Joe talked about losing his job during the pandemic. The woman, Mary, had been evicted after a series of medical bills piled up. Despite their hardships, they shared jokes and even offered Trump a bottle of water. "You've got a good sense of humor, man," Joe said. "You don't see that much out here." Trump chuckled. "Well, you've got to keep things interesting." As the sky darkened, Trump stood up, brushing off his worn pants. "All right, folks, it's been real. Thanks for the company." Joe squinted at him again. "You know, you talk like someone who's used to being in charge." Trump smirked. "Maybe I am. Or maybe I just know how to listen." When he finally returned to his estate, the security guards looked visibly relieved. "Welcome back, Mr. Trump," one of them said. Trump waved a hand. "Relax. I wasn't in any danger. Just doing some research." As he stepped inside, Melania was waiting in the foyer. She raised an eyebrow, taking in his disheveled appearance. "Donald, what is this? You look like you've been rolling in the dirt." "Melania, I've had an epiphany," he said dramatically, throwing his arms wide. "People out there, they're struggling. But they've got heart, real heart. We could learn a thing or two." She sighed. "Please tell me you didn't embarrass us again." "Embarrass? No way. I'm a man of the people now," he declared, grinning. "In fact, I've got plans for tomorrow. Big plans." She shook her head, walking away. "Just try not to end up on the news." As he headed to his study, Trump grabbed a notebook and started jotting down ideas. Charity gala, scholarships, community program, call it the Trump Helping Hand Initiative, has a nice ring to it. For the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of purpose beyond deals and headlines. Maybe, just maybe, this experiment was the start of something bigger. And as he scribbled the final words, he chuckled to himself. Who knew? Sometimes you've got to step off the golden escalator and sit on a park bench to see what really matters. The story reveals a profound truth. No matter how much wealth or power one possesses, true value lies in understanding and connecting with the struggles of others. Through his experiment, Trump discovers that humanity is defined not by status or material possessions, but by acts of kindness, empathy, and the courage to see and acknowledge the invisible. The most meaningful takeaway is this. It's easy to ignore those who seem different or less fortunate, but the smallest gestures of compassion can leave the greatest impact. Real greatness isn't about being seen or celebrated. It's about seeing others and using your resources, be they wealth, influence, or even just your time, to uplift them. In the end, the story reminds us that the world doesn't change through grand gestures or speeches alone, but through the quiet, consistent efforts of individuals who choose to care. Whether you're a billionaire or a passerby, the power to make a difference is always within reach.